violence. It's wrong.
Oh, yeah, wrong. So wrong. It depends where you're coming from. Because gang violence can mean defending yourself, and gang violence can mean, like, hurting someone else.
So how can schools teach young people to make the right choices about negative gang behaviour at an early age? Louise Nichols is on the front line of these issues as head teacher of Kingsmead School in Hackney, East London.
Crime wouldn't come into the curriculum until, so we start with, in the earlier years, they will meet people who help them, which might be a policeman or a fireman or a nurse or whatever. By the time they're reaching the end of Key Stage 2, then we start to put into place things that help them keep safe. And particularly in an area like this, we see that as a high priority because the children are coming across things to do with gang wars.
Well, I think that they carry their gang because, like, if they're in something and people gang up on them, they have a gang to keep their back. But lots of people have friends, and gangsters, they think they're bigger of themselves because they have knives and guns.
One practical way of making children aware of the dangers of crime and encouraging good prevention work is seen to come from increased collaboration between schools and the police.
A lot of it is in the title, Safer School Partnership. It's about police working in partnership with schools. It revolves around the police and the school staff creating an environment in the school which is safer.
Right, okay, so the community officers came in, the police officer came in, and they were talking to us about what? Who can tell me? What were they talking about? Okay, thank you, Otin.
Knife crime.
Knife crime, okay. What other street crimes can you tell me about? What other street crimes can you tell me about?
The Safer Schools team do make lots of contact with the school. They're very proactive in coming out and offering to do fun days and come in and talk to the children. I think it's a little bit ad hoc. For example, we've had some police come into school recently to talk about knife crime because there was an incident that happened with a Year 5 girl from another local school. We would have probably identified to them earlier that these things need to be part of, you know, a regular thing they talk about.
Your hands up. Who thinks it's wrong to carry a weapon around with them?
Maybe someone been threatened by a knife or anything. Maybe they feel frightened, so they might as well want to defend themselves.
Okay, so do you think carrying a weapon around is a good means of defence?
Only if you're going to use it as defence for yourself. But if it's just to you stabbing someone, say for like criminal things, for like mobiles, things like that, no. But if you want to defend yourself...
Do you think that having a weapon is going to defend you?
Yeah.
Seriously? I'm not too sure about that.
From the earliest age, we need to be talking with children about that balance between respect between people and the danger of the implements they're carrying, and helping children to avoid getting into confrontations, helping children to find other methods than confrontation, showing them how you argue, how you debate, how you make your point, and showing them properly how to resolve conflict.
Okay, and what do you think?
I think fighting's really silly because they do it for nothing. Just because he's getting rude, they start a fight for nothing. You can get rude, but it doesn't mean that to start a fight. It means like you can have an argument, but not a fight with metal poles. No.
But a large portion of the approach to crime prevention has to do with the culture of the school as a whole, brought about by its positive policies of encouraging correct behaviour throughout.
We have a system in school which is called Stay on Green, which is to reinforce positive behaviour. So every child in the school, the aim is that they all stay on green. If they make a mistake, if they do something wrong, the teacher will warn them and put them onto a blue card, which means it's quite a visual thing that happens in the classroom. So the child knows they've done something wrong and they've got a chance to work their way back to green. It's all about positives. It's all about trying to say this is the right thing to do and not dwelling on the negatives and not dwelling on where somebody has possibly done something wrong. That has a knock-on effect for children as they grow older, which is that we are asking them to make the right choices.
Who are the most valuable people to involve in a solution to the challenges facing young people in urban communities today?
For some of the young people that we're working with in the schools, it's a situation that they can't escape out of because it's around them. They live in areas where gangs do negative gangs do exist. Do you know what I mean? It's got so serious now that young people are involved in gangs sometimes, and it's against their wills. It's like you have to get in there. If you don't get involved in this gang, then really it's your life is at stake.
Simon and Yomi are youth workers for a nationwide charity called Crime Concern, who work with the Kickstart Youth Inclusion Programme in South London.
We have a programme called the Circle Programme. It runs for 6 weeks. So basically, like, we'll work with Year 7s and Year 8 students. The programme starts off very softly. We don't get too deep into anything. But as the programme goes on, we start getting into the serious issues of knife crime and the consequences.
At Kidbrooke Secondary School, they've brought in Dr. Les Henry, who uses his own experience to bring home the serious issues and consequences of gang culture.
You lot are year 11, that means you're halfway out of school. Yeah? Yes, you are. Because even if you come back for sixth form, you're treated as a college student. Yes? Do you have to wear school uniform? No. Right, so you're treated as a college student. Means you're in a real wide world. That means you're going to get a very rude awakening when people stop treating you as children and expect certain things from you. I always try and say to them, you know, you need to be aware of where you are. You're at a crucial stage in your life now, because what you do in these exams will determine your next step. So you want to make sure that you know what you're doing, you've got a plan of what you want to do, and avoid some of the crazy stuff. When we're young, you know, we're wild, whatever. That's expected. But some of the crazy things they're into, and when you actually speak to them and they tell you why they're into things like that, it's ridiculous. And someone needs to just stand up and point it out to them.
Teachers only can do so much. They only can go to a certain level, then that's it. They can't go any further. To have different organisations come into their schools to do different workshops, it gives the opportunity for young people to see things from a different perspective, not just their teacher all the time, because they're only going to take so much input from their teacher. But if they got different people coming in all the time, it's almost exciting to them, because they're curious, innit? And young people are curious. They want to know what things are. They want to know how that works and how do I do that, or how do I get involved in this? So it's a key. It needs to be done.
Most of the young people we do work with, and I'm talking about, well, I don't know if I'd call them proper gangsters, but the ones who are there. So they'll be in and out of prison or in and out of court. And most of them don't expect to live beyond 25. And I'll tell you something else. Most of the young people that we work with don't consider themselves to belong to gangs. Seriously. They say they're business people. So is a gangster a businessman or businesswoman? I was schooled at a comprehensive school, grew up in this area. I know South East London like the back of my hand. So I know that when they recognise that I'm familiar, and plus I never put on the airs and graces, I'm just how I am. So when I do the sessions with them, I say to them, look, you can achieve and be normal. You can achieve and just be, it's just me.
Myself and Yomi have had experience of things like this, so it's not rocket science to us. Like, we know where they're coming from, we know what kind of struggles they're going through. So it's more easier for them to open up to us and be able to say certain things where, as a teacher, they'll just close up and put their barriers up. So maybe that's why they listen to us, because they know that we've come from similar backgrounds maybe, and we have a bigger understanding than maybe a teacher may have.
Some of them act stupid. They act completely stupid, like they ain't got any sense. And as I said, I can't really condemn them, because when I was 15, I got kicked out of school for being stupid. So the point is, and the point that I'm trying to make is, you should try to do your best to not be like that. Do you know, a young man said to me, he came with his, am I allowed to say arse? He had his arse hanging out, as usual, yeah? Came up to me after one of my sessions, and he said to me, Dr. Les, I keep getting stopped by the police, yeah? And I said to him, look at you. Arse hanging out, hoodie on inside, gloves. I said, you look like you're out to rob someone when you get your trousers up. He said to me, what can I do? I said, you know the best thing you can do? Pull your pants up, shine your shoes and take the damn hood off, especially when you're inside.
Dr. Les Henry is quite an expert in this field. He has a depth of knowledge that I don't possess about these issues that he can talk to the students around. So bringing people from the outside can increase the relevance, but also just increase the depth of knowledge that the students can access.
I know the teacher, that maths teacher, that English teacher will be brilliant at the subject that they're teaching, but if you was to go to the English teacher and say, okay, you need to then start talking to them about knives and start talking to them about this and that, as well as the teacher might be able to do that, it's not going to be to the core. It can't be a circle program. It can't be any other kind of knife crime project that's out there that's doing something. It won't be 100%. And even the teachers themselves won't feel that competent to deliver.
It's laudable when you've got schools like this doing projects like this, because at least they're going into the community and saying, we've got to tackle this stuff.
It's incredibly important that schools have good relationships with other agencies, but also that other agencies work with schools to help them deliver the support that sometimes young people need.
So what chance do schools have in rising to the challenge of turning around the lives of young people today?
Nothing beats the influence of society upon these children, and some of the images that are thrown at children these days are very, very difficult for schools to beat.
It's a sad fact that a lot of young people now come from highly fragmented families where they don't have positive role models and learning experiences within their own family, and where we have to look for other elements, and it's quite natural that the school is being looked to try and fill that void.
We could just say we're only about education, we're only about them coming in and teaching them and then they go home and that's not our problem. But actually, as a responsible role in the community, as a hub for this community, we see it as very much our responsibility to make sure our children are ready to be citizens of this century. You know, they can't be left to make it up as they go along. They need guidance. I do think schools are somehow on their own a bit with that. I think we need more support in terms of resources, and we need better community working with other agencies.
There's so many agencies that are like backs towards each other, isolation, so many projects. I know so many different projects that work in isolation when really it doesn't need to, and it makes me question, why is it that's happening? I would love for all of us to just come together and just say, okay, this is what we're doing right now, and it will be wicked for everyone just to contribute and take part and say, wow, let's make a move.
We need to have all the organisations working in a structured and organised and coordinated way. People actually recognising that schools, the council, the police, the youth services, the youth offending team, all of the different people who are involved have a vested interest in working together to address the issues of young people who don't believe that they have a future.